Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another Supatease video. And this week, we saw some big changes to PvP, as well as the end of season announcement. We now have around 3 weeks left to go after some limited edition transmogs, titles, and mounts. So you certainly don't want to miss out on those. And I thought that it would be important and helpful to you to update my healer tier list and cover which healers are going to be the most likely to deliver you to those goals on this limited time. So let's just get started here. We've got the Discipline Priest as the first healer. This healer is probably the most fun healer overall. Unfortunately, the one major thing that it is holding it back in my mind is its mana output. It does great damage, will provide a ton of support for a team with this regard, has quite a diverse option in terms of compositions that it can play, but its key factor is that it just runs out of mana, and when it does, it's not able to keep up with the amount of damage coming out at the moment. Whereas Holy Priest, even when it does run out of mana, it just keeps going and going and going, and has an extension when its Apotheosis comes up, when the Fey Guardians become available, and it can kind of just infinitely chain into powerful cooldowns and immediate healing effects that make it so much better at the moment in the meta. But it's still a great healer. I think that you could make a push with it, but it's going to be more of a struggle than the Holy Priest. You're likely going to have a harder time finding groups with it, but I have seen more and more Disc Priests pop up, and it looks like a lot of fun, and I've had a lot of fun with it in the past. So it's a bit unfortunate that its performance is kind of being overshadowed by the mana efficiency of these other healers. So for me, I think Discipline Priest is probably coming in at about middle of the pack. You can accomplish your goals with this spec, but it's kind of like, why wouldn't you just be holy right now? And the main thing is the mana. Holy Paladin, honestly, I feel like Holy Paladin may be falling off a little bit. Having seen it perform on the ladder whenever I'm facing against it, I feel like it's the easiest healer to deal with, the easiest to crowd control, kind of punish its cooldowns, the way that its burst healing works, and the fact that it does still run out of mana comparatively to a lot of other healers that are stepping up in this regard. It's also the healer that can't play with a Ret Paladin and a Warrior. Like, you could, but it's like, why would you want to play a Holy Paladin in that comp? And that's probably the best ladder comp to try and grind with, so it's really unfortunate for the Holy Paladin. You're kind of a substitute in these Demo LE and Demo DK comps, and it feels like you're a bit inferior. So I might be giving a bit of a surprise ranking here for Holy Paladin. I think it does great throughput, has awesome damage, but right now at the top end of the meta, what it is just being as tanky as possible and using as little mana as possible, and I don't think that Holy Paladin falls into that category. So I'm putting it a little bit lower here on this tier list update at about kind of middle of the pack. And that might come as a surprise to some, but I think that is now a fair assessment, having seen it play out on some competitive player streams as well as playing the ladder myself, that you may have a bit of a harder time with it because it's not so much just burst damage. There's a lot of kind of sustained fights where Holy Paladin starts to struggle and be torn apart. Now we've got the Holy Priest. This one is still very easy, even despite the nerfs being applied to it. I think that it is the best healer. It is now some debate, though, in other comps other than RMP. Of course, if you want to play a Holy Priest, I would recommend RMP or Jungle Cleave for these kind of last-minute grinds. Those are going to be your best compositions to be able to push, but you can basically play anything else. So if you're really struggling in LFG to find a group, then this is the best healer for you because it fits into every category. I would say that maybe other healers are stepping up on the Wizard Cleave front of the double spellcaster, but Holy Priest is still kind of, I would still debate it as to be really good in those positions. Unending mana, ranged stun, still really powerful cooldowns, instant lay on hands recovery. It's just able to do everything right now, so you're not going to go wrong with this healer even despite the nerfs. And now Mistweaver, given the buffs that it's received, highest output in the game and actually better mana than any other healer in the game right now. And I have seen it creeping up a little bit more and more and more, substituting for what were kind of predominantly Resto Shaman comps, things like Boomy Demon Hunter, some Wizard Cleaves like Demo Elemental Shaman, these types of deals. I feel like Mistweaver's output now is just kind of putting it, it's kind of like forcing Mistweaver into being a competitive option. Still not the most satisfying healer. You're not going to really contribute offensively to the team. Your main goal is to just sit as far away as possible and use the powerful healing and infinite mana that you've been granted in this patch. But with infinite mana and powerful healing, you will be able to accomplish your goals. which is why this may come as a bit of surprise to some people, but I'm actually putting it above Holy Paladin and above Discipline Priest for this reason. I think having infinite mana and infinite output is much better with the way that this is playing out. You're going to need to get really skilled at kind of avoiding getting trained down by melee cleaves using the Portal Legendary and Port while stunned to be able to kind of port away and then port back and escape. And as soon as you've got that kiting down for melee cleaves, you're going to start to see this shine, play with wizards so that if enemies attack you, then those wizards are going to be able to roll them over. And this is why I said it's kind of debatable as to how competitive it is with versus Holy Priest in those wizard options. But I think it's in a much better place, and it's kind of been forced into that position after these buffs that it's received. Resto Druid, I would say Resto Druid is better than Mistweaver at the moment, particularly if you're running Retribution Paladin Warrior with this healer, which is why it's going in on the left. This means that it is better than Mistweaver, Mistweaver better than Holy, but on another tier, and Holy better than Disc Priest at the moment on B. And this is going to be because of the Ret Warrior composition and also the Demonology Unholy Death Knight. I think this is a great comp as a Resto Druid. You're going to have a little bit of versatility in terms of composition options in LFG, which is going to be nice. And also if you're looking for a healer in LFG, picking up a Resto Druid, it can kind of fill almost any gap. So it's going to be a decent pick for trying to climb up the ladder and to get towards some of these coveted rewards. Restoration Shaman, this healer still struggling at the moment with a lot of the meta compositions. The main advantage is that you do provide a ton of interrupts. So if you're focused on playing with compositions that have Demon Hunters and Death Knights, you can really make it annoying for a lot of these Warlock teams. But Jungle and Ret Warrior and these types of cleaves can be very difficult to deal with. So I'm hovering almost as if I want to rearrange this tier list a little bit. I almost want to have an extra tier to kind of squeeze in Shaman in between Mistweaver, Resto Druid. It's pretty close. Like I would say that I want to put it like here, you know, like here. So it's like it's above Holy Paladin, but like just slightly. So don't let kind of like this little end goal of where I'm putting Resto Shaman, because I feel like it's probably maybe closer in here. Something like this has significant weaknesses and significant drawbacks, has really good mana, but the output is where you're going to start to fall behind. Whereas output is great for Holy Paladin, but mana is not so great. You're easier to crowd control. And then Disc Priest just doesn't have the output, doesn't have the mana comparatively to the rest of the healers at the moment, given my current assessment. But I think you could still make it work. Again, focusing on playing with Death Knights, focusing on playing with Demon Hunters. You're going to probably want to avoid double Spellcaster if you're in LFG trying to build your groups for the Restoration Shaman. Or if you're looking for a healer in your spellcasters. But other than that, this is my quick update for the healers for patch 9.2.5 end of season. So good luck in all of your pushes. I do hope and wish you the best in accomplishing your goals, and that is the main purpose of the channel here, to assist you in your climb on the ladder. So if you want that type of information and it's helping you out, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. I do greatly appreciate it, and it just lets you know when my videos go live. But with that, I think I've covered pretty much everything. We've got a melee DPS tier list and a healer tier list as well, which I will have linked at the end of this video if you want to check those out to look at composition options and what's looking strong in the meta to be able to achieve your goals. And other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will catch you in the next one.